Breaking news, man. Breaking news. We had the opportunity to record same day because it happened to happen same day. But there have been rumblings for some time anyway, that Trae could potentially be on the move. And then it became very clear that he wanted to be on the move. And as of today, as of January 7th, he is on the move. He is being traded to the Washington Wizards. Wow. His
Wow,
preferred
indeed.
destination, which confused me to begin with, but details of the trade. Trade to Washington for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. So yeah, feels like it's a little bit to unpack there, but your thoughts, good sir.
I was too busy drawing the Hawks logo. It's pretty bad.
Crying.
We do Hawks V. What are they doing? Granted, Trey
What are the
wants a
Hawks doing?
Trey wants a payday. What is anyone doing? CJ McCollum, according to an unnamed source in my phone, ruined the NBA. Hold on, what is the exact quote? He said, quote, CJ McCollum ruined the NBA. Trae Young was a failed Steph experiment. No sympathy to basketball hell for both. Um,
Yikes.
I think
Harsh.
that
It's harsh.
yeah, yeah. What a mean guy. Uh, but that isn't me. That's not me talking. I just don't know what's going on. Trey just wants the money. I think that Atlanta was not going to max him out. Washington looking like Birdman and Drake and Wayne in 2000 and what year was that? You guys know the song. Um, they got money to blow.
Right.
Um, they're gonna let it go on Trey. They're gonna have Alex Sarr be a lob threat, 3 point threat. Atlanta Wizards 2.0. Here
So
we go. I can't see what else is the formula for them to succeed.
So this is where I disagree, right? Like I feel like especially now in the NBA, like a lot of people look at trades and look at the names and for the average person, I feel like most trades don't make sense. Like they don't understand the reasoning or potential science behind it. I think first and foremost, like it was becoming clear over the course of the season that well, really, even starting last season, there were rumblings that Trey might get traded, or if he wanted to be in Atlanta, or if him and Quinn Snyder was like, on the same page. So there's kind of been rumblings for some time, right? But like I feel like what really kicked this off was Atlanta doing relatively well when Trey was injured. Like I
100.
feel like they saw like, oh, there is something here without Trey. And it wasn't like they got definitively better when Trey got back, right? So I think that's what really kickstarted it. I do think your point about the money is extremely valid. I don't think that Atlanta was going to max him out. And ultimately, Washington probably will.
There's something that I'm missing in terms of like, yeah, I don't know. Like, what are we all getting out of this?
I just think Trey wanted to be gone. Like I think it was becoming very clear that like it wasn't his team no more. Like it wasn't going to be a Trey led team in the future.
For
So
Atlanta to not get picks, that's what I'm just most concerned about. Not that
I
like
don't
Kisper and CJ are nothing burgers in this trade, but I mean like for Trey, I feel like you some draft capital.
But as we've seen, like trade value has changed immensely in the league, right? So I don't even think picks were necessarily a priority. I'd have to do a little bit more research on what picks, Atlanta has in the next, like 4 to 5 years. But I don't think it was a priority for them because you got to think like they're finally healthy to a degree and they're playing relatively well. They're just kind of they're missing a lead guy still. And I think they're still trying to figure out their like new identity. But you have some really good pieces that I think they're very okay with committing to build around. Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels, like Okongwu is still there. I know Porzingis has been like in and out of the lineup, but like they still have a core. So like if you go and bring in CJ and bring in Kispert, like Kispert is another shooter, right? So like that is something that you still want on that team. CJ, at least for this season, provides them a steady vet to like follow, but
Is that
also
buyout
somebody.
candidate right there?
Maybe. I guess it depends on whether CJ likes that situation. But I also don't know what the buyout
Understood.
market looks like. for him because then it's like, well, what situation do you want to be in?
Yeah.
Because was he going to get bought out by Washington come the trade deadline? More than likely not.
So I think he was on their expiring list, right? It's like him, Chris.
I think he's expiring this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think him and Chris were both expiring, which is why they would might have been buyout candidates. But I mean, to be honest, Atlanta's more than likely gonna make the playoffs. It will start in the play in, but I mean, they're gonna be a tough team to beat regardless. So CJ might just look at it like, we'll see what this year holds, and then if I'm a free agent, we see what happens. Maybe he signs a vet min somewhere else like XYZ. Like, I mean, options, like options. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, though, like the trade dilemma really sets up an example for something that's kind of been brewing for some time. Like the same talks that were being had about trade leading up to this trade are the same talks that have been had and are probably going to pick up before the trade deadline about Ja and LaMelo as well. And I think those three guards are kind of in the same boat. Like obviously they all have different narratives. Like Trae is more of the just kind of like falling out of fit in Atlanta when the roster changed.
LaMelo playing LA
Ja,
fitness ball.
you said what?
LaMelo's playing LA fitness ball.
That and injuries. And
Yeah,
then Ja is injuries and all his other, like off court stuff.
all
Chitty
that.
chitty bang bang. So like there's been
That's old too.
but like the talent is there and it kind of begs the question. I don't think there's a problem with this type of guard, right? But I think that so many things have to go right for them to ultimately be as successful as they could possibly be. Because now, when you're looking around the league, like this trade, with Trey happened, but we're all kind of like, okay, but like, what does this mean? Like, who's really going to care? Like, did either side truly benefit? Like, outside of this just being what Trey wanted, like, cool, whatever, player empowerment. And I think the conversations we hear about Ja not having that same trade value or trying to figure out, okay, well, where does he fit? Or the same with LaMelo, like, okay, is LaMelo serious enough to contribute to winning basketball? Like all valid questions without questioning the talent that these players have. So, what do you feel like the fates for Ja and LaMelo will be, even if it's not at this particular deadline? What will their fate be in the future, kind of given how this trade situation played out? Because I feel like, again, the three different versions of each other from a narrative, talent, and kind of like place in the league standpoint at this point.
I think they all move. I want LaMelo to stay most, just for the simple fact that he could stay close to Khan, and I think they can be successful. And I think that his style of play gets a bad rap, a
I
worse rap than what it deserves. I think it just is aesthetically different, and he shoots different types of shots, but they go. So it's like it's not like he's not a team first player. He moves the rock, like he demands it a lot, but it's not like he's stingy with it. He's trying to get guys open. He's not like a chucker outright, but just like the shots that he does take, they look eccentric. I think it's different from a Ja standpoint where I feel like it feels more so they've gone through their course there. I feel like Charlotte hasn't been able to go through any course. I feel like they've been in limbo for however many years. Memphis feels like 2 years, 3 years post Trae Young Eastern Conference Finals run, and you have to blow it all up. You cannot keep any remnants. And I think Atlanta thought that they could do that and retool and rebuild around Trae and compete. It was an albatross, and I think they have to realize that too in Memphis. But I do think that the team is more constructed towards LaMelo Ball currently, and for them to succeed more than Memphis would. Or who was the last one?
Atlanta.
He's gone.
Right.
So yeah,
I agree with your LaMelo point. I do think, given where they are now, healthy Brandon Miller, Khan being who Khan is, there are more pieces there. I think there's a
I'm
foundation of
running to take
something.
it back.
I think there's a foundation of something, but I will say I could see Charlotte feeling like it might be best to move on and it not really be an indictment against LaMelo as much as that just happens with teams sometime. Like as great, as good, as really good as LaMelo is, I don't think he is definitively a franchise player that you completely put your trust behind. he's their franchise player because he's been that since he's got in there and he's shown the flashes of. But again, with all of these guards, I think Ja out of the three might be the easiest. I use that word loosely to build around out of the three. But and I but so it's kind of weird, right? Because I feel like Ja would be the easiest to build around. And I think Ja has the biggest upside because he could be a really great defender if he wanted to be. I struggle between Ja and Trae on who impacts winning the most. I want to lean toward Ja because of that two-way potential, but I don't want to sit there and disrespect like Trae's double-double ability from the standpoint of averaging 26, 27, and 10 like on a regular basis, being top 2 and 3 in assists for the past like 2, 3 years. Like Trae is gonna make his teammates better. He's gonna get his teammates involved, and he can be that electric scorer if you need him to be. You just really don't want to need that from him for an entire season because I don't think for him it's sustainable. Like trading out of Brunson, you know what I'm saying? Like so it don't translate the same. Um, and LaMelo is kind of like this weird in the middle with them because LaMelo has great two-way potential as well. But again, I think it's hard to look at the way LaMelo Ball plays basketball and say it contributes to winning. It's really hard to say because it's not an indictment against his talent. It's really not even an indictment against his game. I just don't know what team or what system that fits into and you can look past the eccentrics and still feel like, okay, this team could potentially contend, or he's making this team better. And he's still young, so I'm not saying his game may not evolve or that he can't find that situation. I just feel like that's where they all currently stand right now. So, kind of to your point, I I agree that all will probably be moved sooner rather than later, but just feel like it's a tough spot for guards like them that play like that and have that kind of somewhat one-sided impact. But I think it's up to them to change that narrative as well.
Tyrese Halliburton is LaMelo Ball with a PR team,
No,
with a
no,
better PR team.
no. That's a bit wild, Gail, even for you.
Let it be known. It was said here first.
So you think LaMelo is better?
No,
So what's the PR team? Like what's the distinction? What's the difference?
if LaMelo, if Charlotte more specifically can develop some sort of culture within the next 1 to 2 years with this team, some sort of winning culture, I think we see them as more comparable players and different and closer in skill set than now. Just one has been in and personally affecting winning at a higher rate than the other through the first couple of years, easy. And also has had to deal with less injuries over time, like less chronic injuries. Like he has this one big one he's got to get through that's going to take him out for some time. Feels like LaMelo's been like in and out for the last 4 years, you
Yeah.
know?
Like again, best
Yeah.
best ability is availability. So that's also a knock on LaMelo. But yeah, I just think that's hard to say right now. Like I don't inherently disagree with like the foundational point that you're making, but I think it's really hard to take out of context where both players' careers has gone since they've been
Exactly.
drafted. They're in the same draft, right? 2020? They both for 2020?
They
No?
might they might be.
I think they were same draft, I want to say. Um, because that's the Ant draft, right? Yeah. 2020 is the Ant draft. I think they're on the same draft. We can fact check that. But
It's a pretty good draft class right now. Yep.
yeah, right.
But
Um, but to that point, if you look at the first five, they both in their 6 year now. I think one would argue and take Halliburton's career over LaMelo's right now.
oh, 100%. Yeah,
You know,
like I'm
so I hear you from the standpoint of what a different situation or what a different narrative would provide LaMelo to speak to the fact that he's not like eons behind the Halliburton and that Halliburton has been blessed to be in this situation with Indiana. I just- but I mean, reality is reality. And I think the reality is LaMelo has been flash, he's been talent, but I don't know if LaMelo has ever been seen as substance. And I don't know if LaMelo has ever been seen as a winner on the NBA level. Not that he can't be, not that he won't be. That just hasn't been the reality.
If Tyrese would have stayed in Sacramento, I think their careers look a lot closer and what.
Depends on what happens. Cause like Sacramento's run was what in 22, 23, 23. So if he does stay and he is shares a backcourt with De'Aaron Fox, I feel like that looks very different. Because I don't think Halliburton's development would have been stunted by staying in
And
Sacramento. Like he
I just
would
don't see it as much as they do with Sabonis on that team.
depends.
They're just there. Where's the bigs there that they can really
I
compete with?
think it, but I think if you commit to that backcourt, I think you go find a big. That doesn't have to be the focal point like a Sabonis.
Yeah,
I'm not the trade still makes sense. So I'm not saying like they shouldn't have done it. But to your point about the careers looking the same, I don't the only way their careers look the same is if Halliburton dealt with the same injuries that LaMelo did.
I think the way that I see them being similar is simply for the fact of being on two franchises that are like eerily similar on coast to coast. Like the Charlotte Hornets are the Sacramento Kings of the East. I can't think of another
I
poorly
think
run
that's
in this
I
division.
think that's more true this year, but I think like that would be discounting the run that Sacramento had before they moved on from Fox and before they stopped having a vision. Like I feel like whatever, like yeah, like even the start of that year, like because they fired Mike Brown too and all of that. So I don't want to discredit like their like year and a half of like success, whereas the Hornets haven't had that success even with LaMelo there, like since he's been there.
No,
So I hear you. I'm not like I said, I'm not inherently like disagreeing, but I just can't fully get on board with even hypothetically or theoretically them having similar careers if he stayed in Sacramento, just because I think it has more to do with LaMelo and him wanting to be a better version of himself, one that makes his teammates better and contributes to winning more. Like just the growth you want to see from somebody with that talent, I feel like we haven't seen yet. So yeah, we haven't got a chance to see him in the playoffs. We haven't got a chance to see him on a big stage in some meaningful games. And yes, a lot of that has to do with his situation. But I feel like that just falls into the reality. So tomato, tomato, like what I'm saying. Like I said, I'm not disagreeing with the concept of it. Like I get what you're getting at. I just trying to honor everything. But yeah, no, that's good trade talk, good guard talk. But yeah, league is heating up and that deadline will be here before we know it. So I'm sure there will be much, much more to talk about in the coming weeks. But yeah, go check out that latest episode for the wrap up of the NFL regular season. If you haven't already, go check out our wild card predictions. This might potentially be after wild card weekend. Still go check it out, see if we got our predictions right. And then y'all be ready for this next episode we got that's gonna talk about the divisional round. So yeah, y'all stay tapped in, man, and y'all be easy. But
oh,
catch y'all
so
soon.
right now.
Peace.